What's some juicy gossip you just found out in your personal lives? That my brother asked my mom for a $1,000 for rent. She gave him $1,400 so he could also pay back a loan. Then he turned around and also asked my dad for $1,000 for rent, which he also gave him. He then turned around and used the money to buy tickets to Burning Man. My parents aren't going to lend out any more money without talking to each other first. My sister did the same. Asked me for some money so she can buy a ticket to watch a movie. She said, "It's okay if I don't have money to buy drinks and popcorn. I just really want to watch the movie." I gave her extra so she can buy some food. Turned out that she said the same thing to my mom, dad and older sister. She had plenty of money to spare in the end. I hope one day she uses her powers for the greater good. My friend just dropped out of university to become an escort. He's happier, apparently. I just found out my neighbor has been having an affair with another one of my neighbors and the kids figured it out. I used to see them go jogging sometimes, and they would have got away with it if it weren't for those goddamn kids. Same thing happened in my neighborhood. Basically, they hooked up at a neighborhood party and kept it up for a couple years. When the husband found out, he divorced his wife and sent her sex toys to the other neighbor's house. Eventually, the other neighbors ended up moving away, but stayed together. Both sets of neighbors have multiple children. I feel somewhat bad about it, but I died laughing when I heard this story for the first time. This happened with my neighbor who was a teacher at my school. Her husband was away on business a lot. One evening me and my friends are all out playing. This is the 90s in a very British cul-de-sac, when all of a sudden a history teacher from school comes walking round the corner and goes to my neighbor's house. Very odd for a Saturday night, we thought. We all figured it out before anyone else and it spread round school like wildfire. Suddenly everyone noticed they would be together a lot at lunchtime. She eventually got caught, divorced her husband and married him. This happened in my neighborhood as well. Husband cheated on his wife with a woman across the street, who also was his wife's higher up at work. Husband said he was helping her with repairs around the house she couldn't do herself. Kids ran across the street to get dad, found him with the woman and told mom. Mom took a bat to his beloved truck, and she was arrested shortly after. He moved in with the woman across the street. She remained in their old home. We had a similar thing in our neighborhood. The man of the couple that used to own the local grocery store had an affair, and one of his mistress, her kids, saw him with his mom. Not anything sexy or so, but when the kid and his mom, the mistress, were in the grocery store, he just told, "Your husband was at our house the other day." The innocence and truth of children is beautiful. Years ago when my brother and I were teenagers, we went to a neighboring town to visit Subway. There wasn't one in our town yet. We saw our next door neighbor, the wife of the couple, crossing the road holding hands with a man who was not her husband. A few months later we could hear a lot of screaming arguments through the walls. Eventually she left, taking one of the kids and their cat with her. On the plus side, the husband got together with a nicer woman who moved in with her elderly, profoundly deaf and super friendly dog Daisy. This also happened in my neighborhood. One of the families ended up moving across the country after it all came out. They even did fake Christmas cards, swapping the kids out as a joke for their friends before everyone found out about the affair. Totally sick. My ex, after 1 week of being single, started dating this SoundCloud rapper. Now she's pregnant with twins. We are still in our teens. Do his songs slap though? Our pastor was having an affair with his cousin's wife. One day while giving a sermon, the cousin storms into church, tackles the pastor and starts to throw haymakers at him. The cousin's wife is trying to pull her husband off the pastor. The pastor's wife quickly figured out what was happening, ran up and clocked the wife from behind, knocking her out. People are trying to separate everyone. Total chaos. I gotta start back going to church. Apparently I'm missing all the good stuff. My work requires everyone in our group have security clearance. It's boring work and the most basic of clearances. Wednesday a coworker's desk was completely cleaned out. We were told she lost her clearance and was fired. Weird. Her BFF spilled the beans later. Turns out Sharon had met a man online and they were madly in love. And she cashed out her $401k, her life savings and a second mortgage to send to him. She's 67. To no one's surprise he's not a real person, and it was all a scam. He claimed he was royalty from Nigeria. Work found out when she started borrowing money from coworkers, and it made its way to our boss. It's very sad but still, WTF she was around when the whole Nigerian ML scam was around. She should have known better. Teach a man to fish, and he will always have food. Teach a man to fish, and he will become a Nigerian prince. A guy I worked with was fired after evidence was found of him stealing from the cash register. Turns out he was sending money to some woman online, ran out of his own money, and so started to steal to keep sending money. Felt so bad for the guy, and how he got sucked in deep. This happened to my wife's grandmother. Some guy posing to be a 2-star Air Force general was messaging her on FB and convinced her to start sending him money. It was small amounts at first, but once my wife found out she asked me if it looked legit, because I'm also in the F. Long story short, after convincing her grandma that it was scam, the guy got his accounts deleted by Facebook. That my uncle left my auntie for the phone sex line worker he was calling for the last 3 years. He'll probably save some money now, so there's that. My cousin has been together with his wife for 14 years and has had a girlfriend for just as long. Neither of them knew about the other. He got caught because of an image on Facebook. His wife's sister posted a family picture which my cousin was in and got recognized by his girlfriend's sister's acquaintance. He got away with that for 14 years. A friend of mine had 2 kids with a guy who worked in oil fields. He worked in 3-month-long shifts where he would travel to another state, then come home for 3 months, then travel again. They were together 7 years, married for 5, when she was doing laundry and found a second cell phone in his pants. Turns out, he had been married for 10 years to another woman, who he also had kids with in his work state. She decided to wait it out, filed for annulment on the basis that he was married to someone else, and filed for custody of their kids while he was gone for work. Once she had it all worked out, she called the first wife and told her that not only had he cheated on her, he married someone else and fathered 2 other kids. The husband angrily drove for 11 hours back to her state to find the house empty. Unfortunately for her, her not husband anymore found her and beat her within an inch of her life, blaming her for the first wife leaving him. She was in the hospital for several months and he is now in prison. This girl I once did hard drugs with on a rooftop 2 years ago kept posting a lot on social media about her life falling apart. She said her boyfriend dumped her because she finally got revenge on her rapist. I had no idea what that meant. She posted about drugs for a week, then they got back together and she seemed okay. Then she posted a positive pregnancy test and her boyfriend were posting a lot about being excited to raise their child together. Then it was silence for a couple weeks. Then it was back to her drinking and drugging, and everything about the baby was deleted. She is still together with her boyfriend, but as someone who doesn't talk to her anymore and only sees what's posted online, I don't know what to think. Maybe she lost the baby, or maybe realized it was a result of her rape. No idea. One November day, my mom took my sister and I put so we could help her pick out gifts for our kids. I asked why a cousin of ours who adored children never had any of her own. This led my mom into a deep trail of juicy family stories. The most unexpected was about my grandma. Apparently, a married man had pursued her and they started a short affair that left her pregnant. She was the teenage daughter of devout Catholic immigrant parents, and they essentially hid her in the basement the entire 9 months and forced her to give away the baby. They also threatened the dad with the mob to get him to stay quiet and pay for medical care. My grandma lived most of her life depressed over what came of that child. My mom took an ancestry DNA test about a year ago and found the woman. She had been adopted by loving parents who have since died. She's started coming to our family events, and my grandparents are more than pleased to have her in their lives. My grandpa has called her his daughter on multiple occasions. Also, both of my sisters have cheated on their husbands with guys they met at the gym. My husband is only very stressed by this trend. Some girl in our year at school posted on Facebook the other day how her boyfriend had supposedly cheated on her. They had a full-blown argument in the comments just on Facebook for everyone to see. Yesterday she posted a picture of some keys tagging her boyfriend in it saying just bought our first house together. We just found out a 16-year-old intern at my work is dealing drugs, including heroin. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Come back tomorrow for more videos. Subscribe to become cheese.